Let me get this straight. You blew up a building.
2 CIs and the CEO of 22andU?
Two competing federal agencies with the same mission.
I don't understand why those Fed a-holes are so darn mean.
To protect the public from the scourge of dangerous misinformation.
You know those bum idiots. This is all them. We had a solid case.
The word entrapment, not even in their vocabulary.
The explosives we provided were fake.
Sworn to a duty to always tell the truth.
We have no indication at this time that this was a deliberate act.
We're all being transferred.
To where?
The only place currently with openings. Alaska.
Good morning.
Welcome to the office, huh?
And we got the retro feel. You know, the funny about federal buildings, they're all different, but they're still somehow all the same.
Oh, good morning, Agent Walker. At the coffee station. We actually drew straws before he got here, and I won, so we get to work together.
Let's get started. Let's see if we can't stir something up.
Let's give it a minute. I like to warm up the truth muscles, a little coffee beforehand.
Well, what do you want to do first?
What do we have for a surveillance van?
Oh, wow. I got a Ford Explorer. We don't have a surveillance van.
Do you put many cases here?
Cases?
Yeah, cases. We're the tip of the spear when it comes to protecting American democracy.
You really believe this? You really believe that people posting crap online is going to cause our country to crumble?
I think the work that we do is important.
We don't have a surveillance van.
Me and some people got one. We've never needed one.
We need a surveillance van. We need a big case, or a CI who can lead us to a big case.
What do you need the van for?
Surveillance.
CIs, or confidential informants, are the lifeblood of any good law enforcement agency. Public posts on social media are one of the best ways to find CIs. Agents would never use coercion or take things out of context to try and persuade someone to become a confidential informant.
New Taylor Swift single is absolute fire. I'm just seeing a lot of incendiary and violent language here.
Agents always need to be on their toes and ready to make snap decisions.
Is there anything I can do for you guys? Actually, David, there is something you can do for us.
Chicky nuggies.
Chicken nuggies.
What?
Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger. McDonald's cheeseburger.
Burger King.
Burger King cheeseburger.
Flame broiled.
Chicken nuggies.
Oh, baby, know you're gonna like it. I wanna be your beaver pilot. Said, honey, know you're gonna like it. I wanna be.
Awesome, right?
Is this a loner?
This thing's totally legit.
What is this? It's got windows!
Now you can hear me. So let's take one issue off. When you wake up after having a dental procedure that is way later in the day, and the pills that they give you to not remember the dental procedure don't work, and you remember the dental procedure, but then you don't remember the rest of the afternoon, probably take those pills a little earlier so you're going to remember not said dinner, God, oh my gosh, dentist appointment. I'd rather not remember the dentist appointment and remember I have to stream at 6:30. I woke up at 6:20 thinking it was 5:20. Oh, it's 5:20. I still got an hour. I can start setting up stuff. And then it got to 6:27 and I went, I'm supposed to start streaming in 3 minutes. It happened. We got it. We're only 5 minutes late. We're rolling into 6:43. Yeah. I think maybe 10 minutes late. Bump down the ISO. We'll bump up that. We got all the artifacts. I don't know why I got to change this every single time. Looky there. That looks pretty good. The little artifacts are behind us. Right on the chair there. Stick with that today. All right. Well, welcome to, I don't know what. Maybe I'm just going to like find a brush and just like do an ASMR thing for the next hour. About that. Could you guys do that for an hour? I couldn't, actually. That would be a pain in the butt. Maybe I can go get a hairbrush, brush my hair for the next hour. But I don't think that would, I don't think that would be very entertaining. Wouldn't be entertaining to me. Like, has it been an hour? It's been 4 minutes. Shut up. So I guess we'll go over the short day. That was the Reed trial. Because, oh my gosh. Oh no, you got a yard sale coming. Yeah, they had this like stupor. They call it like a root cleaning or something, or a root scraping, or a root fucking power tooling. It hurts. And I've done it before, and I said I never wanted to do that again. And I said, and if for some reason I'm going to have to do that again, I want something in its place. And sure enough, they do that. Today's didn't work out the way it normally does. Normally, by the time I'm ready to have the procedure, I'm stumbling around. This time, it was the opposite. It was you get the stuff late, and we'll wait for it. And it was weird because it was the afternoon instead of the morning. Usually, if it's in the morning, I can get there, get squared away, get the shit, and then it's fine. But today's was not, it was just different. It was just different. And so I was pretty much awake for the whole thing. I mean, I remember most of what was going on. I was relaxed. I was kicked back. The one girl thought I fell asleep at the end. She said that twice, even after I told her, I was awake that whole time. It might have seemed like I was sleeping. There was no sleeping going on. So how long will it hurt? Probably like 4 days. and I'll feel residual effects for about a week. So yeah, we'll go from there. I got a water pick now. Keep using it. We'll see how it goes. We will see what happens. Okay. Big news in the trial of Karen Reed is that it is now time for a defense case. Here's my prediction for how the defense case goes. There is a question or two answered. And then the third question, there's an objection. I have a feeling the objections from the prosecutor are going to be numerous. They are going to be substantial. They're going to take up a lot of sidebar time. Even if they know they're in wrong, they are going to object about every single thing that they can. They do not want a decent flow from the defense. They do not want the defense to have a decent flow of their case. They are going to want to control it. Spanky Brennan is going to want to control the narrative, control the case. As one method is sorry, my brain is not functioning very well. Yeah, I'm really slow tonight. He controls the exception button. So he can just go exception. He can stand up before the, you know how they stand up before the question's over when they're going to object. And I can see him doing it quite often and vigorously, depending on the witness too. I think Lucky and folks like that. I heard some people say, oh, I can't wait. I think ARCA should be the first list. And have they declared yet have they declared their first candidate is? I thought I saw something earlier today in my stupor that said that what is this? I am still fuming over the asshat who asked if he could wear a hat collectively with both the Commonwealth and Bev. Gaslit the F out of Bob Alassi today. Oh, I guess he's talking about Judhead. I don't remember that, but again, I got up late because these guys start before I'm even awake. And I was going to go back to the beginning, but I just have not had time. And, oh, I'm not sharing, am I? Gosh darn it. This, I tell you what, this is going to be either the worst stream of all time, or it's going to be one of the best streams of all time. I don't know. It could fall into both categories. You could be seeing history here of the first streamer to wobble into a stream after having dental work done where they tried to sedate him, but it didn't work until later. Because until about 15 minutes ago, I was crashed out on my couch. My couch was my sanctuary, and I was out like a light. And then I woke up. I thought, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I got time. No. Urgent text message from Hank. Yeah, he was. I did see it at one point. He was using his phone, and the phone's going, or his watch is going off. He's got an Apple Watch or something similar. He's checking shit on the Apple Watch. He was like, dude, on the stand was one of the top neurosurgeons in the country. That guy legitimately was one of the top neurosurgeons anywhere. And he never checked his stuff. He was a good enough witness to not have to check his emails. So come on, Mr. Welcher, don't tell me that you have to check your damn things. Crazy. All right, I better hide that before I scroll past something that we probably shouldn't see. What was this? All right, maybe I'll share this.
There, he was clear. He did not rely on. We had a voir dire. He was clear. He did not rely on the analysis of Trooper Paul. He did not rely on that determination or undetermined determination by Dr. Scotibello. It is that simple. We had a voir dire. He was clear.
That guy. So glad we're almost done with his jokey ass. Except for in Cross, where he's going to be even brought up Signal today to Welcher, so he can, he's trying to set foundation so he can ask the guys on Cross for ARC. Oh, you used Signal app, so the app, your messages were untraceable with the defense. Well, I mean, did the Commonwealth turn over every single message that they had with the defense? I haven't heard that. Sure haven't heard anybody make a big deal about that. See. All right, let's get through this because I don't know how much longer I can be upright. All right, do we have a transcript for? We have an Andrea transcript, and I'm going to share. Right. I'm not sure what this is. She's looking at first.
And so the delta V is kind of one of the ways of calculating the stop. So apparently, used these different methods. They are not valid methods, or they rely on information that is unsubstantiated. They don't know where she got the information from. They just, there it is. So the court excluded it for that reason. So then, because his analysis.
Oh no, I'm fine.
Relied on
I gotta
that,
wake up.
and it's not reliable.
I gotta wake
They're
up.
not reliable either. It's a derivative problem. So second, that's not all though. It's not the
If I go get back on my couch right now and I sleep until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, then I wake up at 9 o'clock and I'm wide awake. And so I don't go back to bed. And then when 3 in the morning comes around, I am still wide awake and I don't go back to bed. And now it will take me at least the next 5 days to get back to regular me in my sleep time. So I'm fighting it through. I'm going to eat something here in a little bit. We're going to go an hour, maybe. We're only 20 minutes into it. And then we're going to go tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. I need to talk to the peeps because Friday night is normally our full on show, right? It's our podcast night. It's our Northland Friday night show. And we start that at 7 o'clock. So do I start a show at 6:30, go over the case, then bring the guys and gal in for the regular show, then kick back to this, or do I make them sit through the first day of defense? I'm kind of thinking about giving them the option. I'm going to say, hey, we have to do the show on the first day of defense. There is no getting around that. It's going to be a full day of testimony. It's going to be the time to start showing that there was no collision. 34 Fairview Road. So we need to really, tomorrow's a big day. So I'm thinking just maybe I'll say, hey, this is what the show is going to be tonight. You are free to hang out and partake. If we go over an hour, we're going over an hour. You're free to leave it an hour and leave it that open so we can go over tomorrow's testimony. Maybe we'll start out obviously with the how's your week been section. That's always fun. Everybody's got news. Yeah. Thoughts don't come as quick when you have, and I'm not even sure what the hell sedatives they gave me. They just gave me something to make me all loopy and sleepy. Yes. So your brain just does not function normally at that point in time. So I have no idea what the hell
only problem
she's trying to say here.
relevance.
I think she's got it looks like she's got something from a different case. And I just so totally
All that tied to the facts of this case. I'd like everybody who runs gets injured. Very, very hard on your soft tissue.
Welcher prior case. Oh, this was the prior case. Okay, where Welcher was disqualified from testing in Massachusetts. There was a point in time when Welcher was not allowed to testify for the Commonwealth. Take that as you may. Take that how you may.
Cervical discs occurs is based on cadaver testing, which is an unreliable method for analyzing how force affects live human beings. Well, look at that. Look at that. Just what we were wondering about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fair to use cadavers to analyze how living human bodies are going to respond to different stresses.
Okay, so Welcher sucks. We already knew that. Now we're going to get to
the sound. Hello.
And all right, Mr. Alessi, I will hear you on your argument on the board here.
Right to arguments.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just loading up my computer.
So it made me wonder if this judge has a clerk who has like a scientific background and got a BS in, biochemistry or something like that, and is particularly offended.
The Trooper Paul aspect, and then I'm going to address the Dr. Scordy Bello aspect of Dr. Welcher. With regard to Trooper Paul, I would like to draw the court's attention to the following documents for the straightforward proposition that Dr. Welcher has not only reviewed, he has not only considered, that he has adopted. I went back and looked at the documents, and the basis for this is as follows. Slides 22 and 23 do not just depict Trooper Joseph Paul himself. They show Trooper Paul conducting the CARS analysis on February 1st of 2022. Importantly, these slides highlight the mileage odometer of 12,665, and I respectfully request the court to anchor into that odometer reading, because I'm going to show the path that odometer reading takes through all of the documents, but I want to emphasize the genesis of the in this document and reliance upon it. Why else would he have it in his slide presentation? And he's got the name of Dr. Scordy Bello. And frankly, Your Honor, he didn't fight that whatsoever in the questioning of him. Then you go to underneath cause of death, blood, impact, injuries of head, and hypothermia. He essentially repeated that on his testimony. And then if we could, Mr. Wilk, just go to the right. And so you've got highlighted head, skull fracture radiating from the right occipital skull and into the right parietal bone, right and left occipital foci, and especially of the stakes and the charges this high that we get to test it. What I think, lastly, my point here, Your Honor, the Commonwealth is doing is this. The Commonwealth knows Trooper Paul and Dr. Scordy Bello are problematic for their theory and their narrative. Trooper Paul has got, if you work backwards from his key cycles, you end up with 1162.2, their key cycle. That ends up being not in front of 34 Fairview, but it ends up when the Lexus is in the possession of the state. That is the result of that. And that was something that was addressed square head on in the first proceeding. We're not coming up with some fanciful ghost in the second trial. This was gone through extensively in the first proceeding. And I understand this is a new trial, but it goes to show it's not something coming out of the blue, et cetera. And with regard to Dr. Scordy Bello, it was remarkable on the redirected. I've never seen a prosecution essentially go after the opinions and conclusion of their own medical examiner when they basically said, the medical examiner, I can't call this a homicide. The manner of death is undetermined. And the medical examiner says, I don't see any motor vehicle impact injuries. There couldn't be anything more apt, more probative than whether or not the injuries to the decedent are from a motor vehicle.
It was the state's own witness. It was the state's own medical examiner that did the examination. How can you not use that? It's already in evidence. It makes zero sense.
Dr. Welcher himself is saying they are. That's the essence of his opinion. It's the essence of his test. We get to be able to, respectfully, Your Honor, say, well, wait a minute. You said you looked at the autopsy. You said this. You highlight it. But you're going against the medical examiner on whether there's motor vehicle injuries. The experts can't, Your Honor, cherry pick and choose from documents. They can't use it as a shield and a sword. They can't put up, for example, Dr. Scordy Bello's autopsy report, cherry pick things to benefit from them, and they did it on direct. And then all of a sudden on cross, when we want to go and test that, they say, oh, no, you can't do it. Your Honor, this whole argument is absurd, and it's antithetical to the Sixth Amendment. And even if, and this is my last point, even if this were merely a civil case, this would be routine cross-examination against the expert on the side. So in conclusion, Your Honor, I respectfully request
it's absurd
that Ms. Reed and her team be allowed to exercise their constitutional right to cross-examination, the keystone of a defense in a criminal trial, cross-examination, and that they be able to take the shield that the prosecution is trying to put on us and be able to combat the sword that the prosecution has put forward with regard to trying to cherry pick from this information, and that we get to proceed, and we get to proceed undaunted from all the serial objections yesterday that interrupted my cross-examination. Thank you, Your Honor.
That was a beautiful cross or voir dire. argument. She's still going to turn it down, but that was brilliant. That was.
He's right. You don't get to just limit what you get to be crossed about by being like, no, I didn't agree with that. You get to ask him about why you didn't agree with that. You agreed with this part, but not that part.
By the defense is that there is no constitutional right to usurp the rules of evidence. There is.
What is he? Oh. We're at 37.
Two separate people use the same program, but when you look at the CARS report and you look at Dr. Welch's power.
Oh, wait. There was something else. I think it's down in. There was the question of the team, the CERT team drone. Oh, the CARS team.
Is the CARS team drone. This image of Dr. Welcher's slide 36 is clearly and indisputably from the drone. And the only drone extant is the drone of Trooper Paul in the CARS team. Last point with regard to the Trooper Paul basis in adoption of Dr. Welcher. Mr. Brennan asked Dr. Welcher on utilizing a...
Yeah, so Brendan was trying to say last night that so he lied. He got up and he absolutely 100% lied to Brennan, saying that the drone footage came from the CARS report, or the CERT team is the one who provided the drone footage, and Trooper Paul used it in his CARS report. Well, that's wrong.
GNSS GPS mapping system and a DJI Mavic 2 UAS. This data was input to a computer-aided diagram program, which is IMS 360. Here's the key: to produce a scale diagram of this collision. So the DJI Mavic is the CARS team drone. This image of Dr. Welcher's slide 36 is clearly and indisputably from the drone. And the only drone extant is the drone of Trooper Paul in the CARS team. Last point with regard to the Trooper Paul basis, adoption of Dr. Welcher. Mr. Brennan asked Dr. Welcher on voir dire if the image from slide 36 actually came from the CERT team, which is simply not true. The CERT team, actually Lieutenant Tully with the CERT team, took about a dozen photos of the taillight in the snow in the dark around 6 p.m. on January 29, 2022. Lieutenant O'Hara said that the CERT team never traveled back to the scene again. So there were very obviously no photos or images taken by the CERT team in the daylight from the drone. And
Bam. So he just basically caught Brennan in a lie. But it's anti-Bev. And that sounds like a wonderful point to bring up. The new comic book, The Bias Antics of Anti-Bev, which is, you can't really see the faces on there because of the green screen that I have turned on. You can see the courthouse in them. But this is a comic book about all of the stuff that Bev tries to pull. It is a it's just a good look at graphical novels, a work of visual commentary based on real people and events of public interest. All illustrations and depictions are artistic interpretations. So, yeah. If you get a chance, go get a copy. It is on X and Amazon. I got it off of Amazon. Let's see if I can find her again real quick. And I do apologize. I am normally much faster at this stuff today. But me not so fast today. Lynn Marie, right there. There we go. Share. Lynn Marie. Artist, author, cartoonist. There is a little drawing of Mr. Welcher looking at his phone on the stand. Exactly how I picture Dr. Wolf of Arca, hysterically laughing while Welcher redefines expert testimony, complete with body paint and cosplay. Oh, I hope this one's in there. That'll be my favorite. This one's going to be Tolly. Tolly's side hustle as a demo driver. Yeah, that jerk ball. All right. So I'm not going to play much of this. Brennan gets up and goes.
Dr. Welcher is clear. He did not rely on Dr. opinion and what was not. And this information was not part of his opinion. They turned to the Google map. It's misleading. This was generated by Google. Two separate people.
The jury ready, please?
Where, yes, in fact, they
What we want to do is to say to Dr. Welcher, you have brought up Trooper Paul. You have used his odometer reading. That odometer reading tethers through to Google. It tethers through everything you're doing. It's the foundation. But what you're ignoring, Dr. Welcher, are all the key cycle results that come from that odometer reading that you relied upon. Dr. Welcher himself can't cherry pick, grab things that he needs from Trooper Paul to do his analysis, and then the Commonwealth say, but you can't go after that because it somehow has Trooper Paul's name on it. It's illogical.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing. You can't just cherry pick. If you're going to use portions of the report, you're going to use portions of the report. You've used the report. It's free game. It's so stupid.
Your Honor, and it's incorrect under the law. Thank you.
So I disagree with you, Mr. Lessie. I'm not allowing in the line of questioning regarding Trooper Paul, and I'm not allowing the line of questioning regarding Dr. Scotty Bello. So that's my ruling. Let's bring the jury in.
Nope. I am ruling it both in the defense, or I am ruling for the prosecution on both sides. Sorry, take it away. You lose again. This woman is just going to be, if for some reason, I pray to God every day that we don't have to go to any kind of appeal, because that means she's lost something. But in the case of Massachusetts being Massachusettsy, I can see where we might need a very good appeals person. I think the appeals court would have a field day with this, but that process is not a quick process. So, yeah. I mean, the best we can hope for is another hung jury.
Well, come over here because they're on their way.
Yep, we knew that was coming. So get this, guys, okay? In Bev's courtroom, the rule is if you don't want to be cross-examined about something, all you have to do is say, I don't agree with it. That's it. And you don't get to be asked any questions about why you don't agree with it.
There you go.
Nothing.
That's it.
Nothing. You get to just completely take that off the table. You get a 500-page expert report, and all you have to do is testify. I only read these 2 pages. It happens to be the only 2 pages that benefit my argument. Okay, everything else is contrary to what I want to say, and therefore,
right.
I cannot be asked any questions about what I thought about that expert opinion, because all I have to do is say I didn't look at it. I didn't agree with it. It didn't matter to me. So to me, yes, it's quite crystal clear that Alessi has the better side of this argument. Of course, as a matter of common sense, you get to question the expert about the basis for his opinions, what he reviewed, what he considered, what he didn't. If he says he doesn't think it's important, we get to ask about why it's not important. You get to do that.
It's just stupid.
Unless you feel free to
All
go to
right.
the podium.
You trying to equip with a computer?
Unless you feel free to go to the podium.
You trying to equip with a computer and any electronics there? So we
I'll ask it a different way. If you can just
So here we go. Let's see the very first question of the day for Walter.
Look at your watch. Yeah.
his directive.
Troll. He's going to troll us some more today. Let's see what he's got.
And Dr. Welch, we're going to ask you to not turn on your computer yet.
Yet, if ever.
Your Honor, if I could, smartwatches that are receiving text messages during his direct, if we can make sure that that does not occur.
I'll get my email.
Okay, or just don't look at your watch.
Oh, just don't look at your watch. Yeah, because you're really policing him over there, Bev.
Good morning.
Just don't look at don't pay attention to your watch. It's okay, you know. You've only got another hour or so sitting here. You can shit, I leave fucking text messages alone for days. And I'll be like, oh, sorry, man. God, I didn't see that. What the hell? It got buried in my
Morning.
Sure, the people that I work with are like, you do what? Nothing as a joke. I'm only kidding.
Do you know whether there was glass found on the bumper of Miss Reed's Lexus SUV?
My understanding there was, yes.
Did you reach a conclusion on whether the glass on the bumper came from the drinking glass that you assert Mr. O'Keefe was holding at the time of the alleged impact?
I didn't have an opportunity to inspect the glass, but the glass was broken and there was glass on the bumper. That's all I know.
So you...
That was tested. You could have looked at the test report.
As you sit here today, you have no basis to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from the glass that you depict as having been held by Mr. O'Keefe at the time of the alleged impact. Is that correct?
Well, you're mixing a couple things.
No, Dr. Welcher, if you can just answer my question. If I need to rephrase it, I will. I'll ask it a different way.
Please.
You have no basis as you sit here today.
Right there. This prick was going to go into a soliloquy because he thought that Alessi asked him multiple questions. He asked him running over something. He asked him a pretty straightforward question, but he still tried to figure out a way that he could opine his BS in there.
To conclude that the glass on the bumper came from a drinking glass connected to Mr. O'Keefe, do you?
Well, we have a picture of a broken glass at the scene. So I wouldn't say we have no basis. We don't necessarily have enough to conclude it's from it, though.
Do you had depictions in your test with Mr. O'Keefe holding a glass, correct?
Correct.
My question is, you have no evidence to show at all other than, and I'm talking evidence, testing information. You're saying you have no evidence that shows that the glass on the bumper is not the same glass as you showed on your slides as being found supposedly at the scene. You have no test evidence that that's the same glass, do you?
So again, the one I have at my testing obviously was not the same glass. We have pictures of a broken bar glass in the snow near where Mr. O'Keefe's body was. We have glass fragments on the rear of the bumper. That's the extent of my knowledge on the correlation between those two.
So do you said you reviewed the reports and testimonies of various Commonwealth representatives, correct? That's in your report.
Correct, in the initial.
In the initial, right, correct. And some of those reports included forensic scientists who work for the Massachusetts State Police, correct?
I believe that's correct.
And you put those in your report as documents that you reviewed, correct?
Correct.
And as you sit here today, it's your testimony, you don't know whether in any of the reports of the Massachusetts State Police, there is an answer to the question of whether there's any connection at all between the glass found in the snow and the glass on the bumper.
I recall it being inconclusive.
Oh, so you recall that the testing was inconclusive?
I don't remember what testing they did, but for example, when they put the taillight fragments back together, they were able to deduce that the fragments were from the taillight. I don't think they attempted to do that.
Not talking about the taillight.
The glass.
Assume that there has been testing of the glass on the bumper, and assume that that testing conclusively determines that.
He just didn't answer the question. There was no question about the taillight, none whatsoever. He interjected that completely.
The glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snow.
Okay.
Assume that.
Okay.
How would that affect your analysis?
I'd want to know where the glass came from. But we still have a whole bunch of other elements. So I don't think it would affect the end results.
So would it have any part in your analysis with my assumption that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that's associated with the broken glass that was supposedly found in the snow?
Yes, I mean, we always want to have as much answers or as many answers as possible. So I would want to know if we could figure out where it came from.
And wouldn't the fact, assuming that the test results show there's no connection, meaning the glass on the bumper is different from the glass in the snow, wouldn't that be contrary to your theory of what happened in some way?
It depends on when the glass was actually broken. The glass was in his hand, at least that's the testimonial evidence I've seen. So it depends on whether it's broken from contact with the rear of the vehicle or broken with contact on the ground.
Assume that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snowbank. Doesn't
1.75.
in part
You gotta go.
your
Sorry.
hypothesis?
It's unexplained.
So when your brain is turning at a slow pace, everything seems slow. So we're going to try this at 1.75 speed. Now, if it gets too much, gets too crazy, let me know. Is it, I wanted to ask about that too. Is it is it a multi-family yard sale or one family yard sale? Which tells what you got going on there. I know yard sales are crazy. So let's hear about the yard sale, Patty, when you get a moment.
Whether there was contact by the Lexus with Mr. O'Keefe at 34 Fairview.
So if you recall on my slides, nowhere did we discuss that in my slides. So no, it wouldn't contradict it. I would want to know where that glass came from.
But you didn't seek that information, did you, sir, in your analysis to determine where the glass came from?
Well, of course I did. I read the reports about it.
But you sit here and you say you don't know the answer. There's steps you could have taken to get that answer quite easily. Couldn't you have, sir?
Not me. That's a material science expert.
You've been communicating with Lieutenant Tully, haven't you?
Correct.
You could have asked Lieutenant Tully that question?
To my knowledge, he's not a material science expert.
But could he have told you the results of testing on that glass on the bumper and whether it was any way associated with the glass found in the snow? Wouldn't that have been an easy question to ask him? Just has there been testing, and if so, what's the results?
Yes, but my knowledge from reading the reports was it was inconclusive.
But you didn't read all of the reports, did you, sir?
Apparently not.
Let's turn to another topic.
Imagine saying that like that's a win.
Part of your analysis involved conducting laser scans of portions of 1 Meadows Avenue, the house of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
Those laser scans were used at least in part to answer the question of whether the collision between Ms. Reed's SUV and Mr. O'Keefe's Chevy Traverse at 1 Meadows at approximately 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022 caused the right rear taillight of the Lexus to break, correct?
Correct.
And in that analysis, inches literally matter, correct?
You want to get as accurate as possible.
And the reason why inches matter is because we're going to get to this. You tried, and you did it in your slide presentation on direct, you tried to see whether the Lexus lined up with the Traverse such that there could be a break of the taillight. That was part of your analysis, correct?
So the main part of the photogrammetry was to determine the speeds and the angles and the degree of overlap on the vehicles. And then we also looked at the damage from the video, or actually just where the snow was knocked off the rear of the Chevy Traverse, and document the height of that.
You said the main part. I don't want to engage in semantics. I want to go to my question of, isn't part of the laser scan analysis to determine whether or not those two vehicles align sufficiently such that the Lexus could break, the taillight of the Lexus could break coming into contact with the Chevy Traverse? Wasn't that part of your analysis, at least in part?
Yes.
Okay. And in that analysis, inches literally matter, correct?
It can, depending on which way you're going inches.
So the ring camera at 1 Meadows, you're familiar with that ring camera, right? At 1 Meadows? That ring camera at 1 Meadows was used as part of the laser scan process that you and your firm Aperture performed at 1 Meadows on October 2nd, 2024. Do I have the date correct?
I believe so, but the videos were not literally used during the laser scans. We did the laser scans, the video, combined them together in the process called photogrammetry.
Okay, let's.
So I want to see where this is. All right, coming at 1:31. We are at just 1 o'clock. All right, so we're getting into the photos.
Your Honor, if we could publish the exhibit with regard to the ring camera.
Sure. What exhibit is it?
Used for any part of your work.
Absolutely, the photogrammetry.
I just need to be able to finish my question, sir. Was that ring camera used for any part of your work at 1 Meadows on October 2nd, 2024?
Yes.
And it was used for what purpose?
In the photogrammetric process, to establish the position and dimensions of various things in the video. So then we could go back and overlay the vehicles and track the tracks in the snow, as well as look at the damage to the vehicles.
31. Okay.
Of the camera in place in October of 2024.
Yes. So in photogrammetry, we calibrated the photogrammetric
Still going about this. We go about this for a while. This gets into now the
Am I correct? Correct. I mean,
3D modeling that they did for showing the
I heard your
bumper.
testimony, as I recall, you stated essentially from various information that you lined up in the video, and we're talking about the lining up of the Lexus with the Traverse. And this is at One Meadows. And so, as I understand what you did, sir, is you took what are called point clouds, 3D images, created them for the Lexus. You took created 3D images, synonym point clouds of the Traverse, and then you attempted to line them up to determine, among other things, whether they would align sufficient so that the Lexus could line up and potentially hit the Traverse such that the tail light of the Lexus could be broken. Was that at least part of your analysis?
That was part. There was more.
So you showed a slide, a few slides, and with your Honor's permission, what I'd like to do is to start with slide 90.
All right. Do you have any problem with Dr.
Yes. Slide that's part of your presentation depict a view from the top of the Lexus on the right and the Chevy Traverse on the left.
Correct.
And is that depicting contact between the two vehicles?
It is.
Now let's zero in a closer look, and that is a contact point. Am I correct?
Correct. I mean, there's.
Now if we could, Mr. Wolf, so Your Honor, 91. I think these are just going to go in order for a few, and I'll keep announcing them. So this is 91, same vehicles, just a different viewpoint. Is that correct, Dr. Welcher?
Correct. This and the next.
I just want to stay with this one. I just asked the question, does it show the contact?
Right. So go ahead and answer now.
This slide and all the other slides, we're trying to show the angle of contact, but because it's two-dimensional image, you're losing some perspective. For example, here you're seeing the chrome piece on Mr. O'Keefe's Chevrolet, which is on the right. You're seeing it obviously behind where the Lexus is. So we were trying to show it at a whole bunch of different angles to try and illustrate the degree of closeness or lack thereof.
All right. So is it correct that on your direct examination, you said in sum and substance, we looked at the degree of overlap, and there's only about a 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap between the vehicles? Is that what you recall saying on direct?
That is correct.
And that you stated that supposed 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap was insufficient to cause the taillight of the Lexus to contact the rear of the Chevrolet. You recall saying that?
That's correct.
Now, I would like you to look at that. This is from your slide presentation. Is that not showing contact between the two vehicles?
Oh, it absolutely is not. What you're seeing is a portion of the vehicle that is behind.
Oh, it
the area.
absolutely is
The
not.
Lexus is angled off to the left. So the area that you see here.
You don't
is
know
actually,
what you're seeing.
in this case, in front of where the taillight is. This is why we tried showing it from a whole bunch of different angles, because when you try and take a two-dimensional image and look at it, you see stuff in the background. So, and again, this is why in the computer, we overlaid them, looked at the measurements in the computer where you don't have this, we have the three-dimensional measurements, and it does not hit.
Where did you show in your slide presentation what you just said, that it doesn't show in overlap?
So where it shows a contact, it definitely contacted, I'm sorry, Mr. Porter, down below here. It does not show a contact here. So to answer your question, all the next slides were our attempt to do that. So all the next slides is your answer.
We're going to go to those next slides. So your Lexus, the taillight is not making contact?
So
we'll determine which slides we go to on my questioning.
So now vehicle, and it contacts on the corner, which is just around, so maybe like an inch or so in front of it on the corner.
Seems to get a little crotchety here.
Sir, I will determine which slides we go to on my questioning. So now let's go to Mr. Wolf, the next slide.
Sir, you have sat here for 2 days trying to be the big guy boss, right? You have tried to be the man. You have tried to sit here and tell us all how smart you are, how dumb we are. I'm trying to help you. Here, Mr. Alessi, let me help you. Starting off the day with a question yesterday, that whole, let me pee on your tree before you pee on mine. What's your full name? Oh my God, this guy is not the alpha he thinks he is. Mr. Wolf. Poor man. I hate to see the state of the lockers that you were shoved into.
In your presentation, my question is zeroing in. Are you saying that slide does not show contact between the tail light of Ms. Reed's Lexus and any part of the Chevy Traverse?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what it shows. You can see a little better here. Again, we tried all these different angles, which is why all these slides are in there. But you can see some of the geometry of the light. This structure, and again, remember I said the Chevy kind of curves in as it goes up a little bit.
Let's go to the next slide. 40, yes, please.
Oh, pretty.
Is it working? 41, Your Honor.
Yeah, her tail light does stick out quite a bit there from the back.
I have a question. It's
It's like a protruding tail light.
So, Mr. Alessi, is this exhibit number 41 or is this from the PowerPoint? Because
Slide.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes. So
how
I'm putting this up because I want to show an actual photograph of that tail light, and I would like you, sir, to focus on the quarter panel tail light in each. Do you see a jutting out of the quarter panel tail light in that photo? Do you see it jut out?
John, you and I are talking the same thing. There are little fins here.
Correct. Now, what I'd like to do is to go back
Little fins.
to the depiction we were just looking at, and that depiction doesn't show the jutting out, does it?
No, it does. Those are actually more on the side of the vehicle. You can't see them in this image.
Correct. You can't see them.
Hold on a second. I wasn't finished. But they are 100% there. We actually did special hand scans with a hand scanner of the taillight to put it back on to the vehicle.
You say they're 100% there, but you can't see it in that depiction, can you? The jutting out that you could see in the two-dimensional one we just saw. You can't see it.
I can't see who's behind that wall because it's being blocked by something. I can't see on the side of that taillight because it's on the side I can't see. It's being blocked.
Sir, my question is simple. You cannot see the jutting out of the taillight in this depiction, can you?
Correct.
Okay, now let's go on to the next question in this.
I can't see through that wall. What a dick answer.
Easily solved what you consider to be the issues you had with trying to show it lining up, couldn't you, sir? You had an easy solution for that.
I took the best solution. I'm not sure what
you
you're
had
referring to.
3D images, correct?
I did.
You could have shown and measured 3D images to get almost the exact contact point and almost the exact dimensions if you had just used the 3D images that you had available to you. Isn't that correct?
That's exactly what we did. When I went through the video analysis, I showed you how we overlaid the point clouds, the 3D scans, on top of each vehicle. So we took the, I'm sorry, we took
Sir,
the
please
those.
don't interrupt. Your Honor, he keeps referencing my hand and saying I'm doing something when I'm not, and I think that's distracting to the jury. I'm not interrupting.
Hold on. Let the witness answer the question.
I'm just holding my hand like this, Your Honor. He keeps saying that I'm doing something.
Mr. Leslie, please.
All right.
Go ahead, finish the answer, Dr. Walker.
Again, in the photogrammetric analysis, I showed the video. I showed how we overlaid the point cloud on top of the video. That proves that the way we solved it.
What are we doing?
People showing up at the different times, and then Jen doing the texting. Jen texting John,
Oh
Jen calling
man,
John, all that stuff.
I messed that up completely.
Understand what I mean by
Damn.
vehicle control history of
the extreme information?
It was possible for the spoiler on the back of the Lexus to make contact with the eye of Mr. O'Keefe. If it was even possible, what did you use for a measurement of the suspension?
Matched the measurements from when the vehicle was tested, I believe on February 1st at the Canton Police Department.
What match did you make?
So we aligned the bottom of the taillight, actually the sheet metal right below the taillight. So we adjusted the height of the Lexus to match that.
Did you in any place document what level the Lexus was at the time of any testing, meaning the suspension? Did you document it all?
Yes.
Where?
I need to find out where we were.
Slide 107.
We have slide 107 as well.
Good observation, Eric.
Oh man, come
And if you
on.
could zoom in on the lower photograph, the gentleman with the blue shirt.
Oh.
Zoom in a little more, please.
Is this a Trooper Paul photo?
So
Oh, look at that.
we matched the bottom of the sheet metal here to photographs when it was at the Canton Police Department.
Sir, my question is, where did you document whether the suspension was at 0, whether it was +3 or -2? Where did you document that?
Right here.
And what are the numbers of the documentation?
I don't know what I hit. All of a sudden we were at the end of the program, and that's not right. We're at the 3D images.
The step pad, not the entire bumper. I'm just talking about the step pad.
Right. So you're zooming in on the bumper.
Right.
Step pad is this structure up here.
We're going to move up. It just takes a while. There's
Right
3D
here.
images to get almost the exact contact point and almost
Here we go.
the
I think
exact
so.
dimensions if you had just used the 3D images that you had available to you. Isn't that correct?
That's exactly what we did. When I went through the video analysis, I showed you how we overlaid the point clouds, the 3D scans, on top of each vehicle. So we took the, I'm sorry, we took
Sir,
the
please
vehicles.
don't interrupt. Your Honor, he keeps referencing my hand and saying I'm doing something when I'm not, and I think that's distracting to the jury. I'm not interrupting.
Hold on. Let the witness answer the
I
question.
am. I'm just holding my hand like this, Your Honor. He keeps saying that I'm doing something.
Mr. Leslie, please.
All right.
Go ahead, finish the answer, Dr. Walker.
Again, in the photogrammetric analysis, I showed the video. I showed how we overlaid the point clouds on top
Don't
of the
say
video. That
anything
proves
to
that
the
way we
witness.
solved it, correct camera characteristics matches. Otherwise, that would be distorted. We overlaid the scans of the Lexus into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid the
I'd
scans of
hold
the
his
scene.
fucking hand like this the rest of the time. If this is what he's doing,
We did exactly
I
what you're
wouldn't
suggesting.
change the way he's holding his hand.
Address this issue by the following.
God,
You really believe
well,
there was no contact or not sufficient contact?
Good.
You could have produced a graphic that shows a gap.
That is a dud.
A graphic.
Judd would like,
That's not a graphic.
What is that?
you know, like to see happen to Judd. Judd's demise. He ends up with Bruce Willis riding on a motorcycle. Hang on. So there was a movie many, many years ago. And I know I can't show this because I'll get copyrighted, but when Bruce Willis finally, he throws the fight. Now he's running. He runs, he's driving, he's going back to pick up his watch. Because his watch is super duper sentimental, right? That there's nothing like the watch. And we all know what happens. He runs into Marcellus Wallace. Marcellus Wallace has lost a lot of money because Bruce Willis's character was supposed to throw a dive in a boxing match. He did not. He won. And he cost a lot of people, a lot of very connected people, money. He goes to his apartment, even though he knows that there's people there. And he gets his watch back. And he has to dispatch someone first. John Travolta, no less. And as he's going, he runs into Marcellus. Marcellus and him fight down the highway. It's an epic fight between the two of them. But they end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. They end up in I don't want to believe that at that time or any time in history of our country, that establishments where Bruce Willis and Marcellus Wallace, I don't want to believe that those establishments exist. But you never know. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's a few of them out there like that, which are just absolutely batshit nutty crazy. So they are taken hostage. This is where we get to meet the Gimp. This is a very long story to get to my Judd comment. What? You're right. It was a pawn shop. So yeah, no, there are all kinds of pawn shops. Cat, thank you for that. Yes, there are all kinds of pawn shops. I don't know how many pawn shops have basements with weird gimps hanging out in whatever those funeral things are called. Coffins. I don't think you find gimps in coffins in the basements of many pawn shops, but I'm sure you can find these things as well. So, they go through it. They fight. Bruce Willis wins. Bruce Willis stops the torment of Marcellus Wallace. It's where one of the most famous lines from Pulp Fiction come from. What about us? There is no us. What about them? I am about to get 5 of the hardest down here. We about to go medieval on your ass. Now, I said that very white. That is not how it sounded in the video. See if I can see. Can I get it? Let's see if I can just get a taste. Man, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Is there a transcript? Yep. Maybe just a 3-second little spotch of it will do. Oh, man. Here, I know it is. Right there.
Holmes here with a pair of pliers and a blowtorch. You hear me talking, hillbilly boy? I ain't through with you by a damn sight. I'ma get medieval on your ass.
Who doesn't know that line? Who? Nobody. There's nobody that knows that, doesn't know that line. But the other part of this thing, I keep coming back to the end where Bruce Willis finally gets out. He gets home, picks up his girlfriend on his motorcycle. I had up here, I think. And she comes down and she says, whose motorcycle is this? Yeah, a little empty, a little short here. And get it to the right place. Right here. Maybe we won't get copyrighted with just like a 3-point thing. This is what it, and I'll tell you my Jed thing here in a minute, but this is the Jed.
What motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Ed is dead. Since the beginning of this trial, when I saw this dude's name, that scene popped into my head. Whose testimony is this? Zud's. Who's Zud? Zud's dud, baby. Zud's a dud. Just, I know it's silly. I know it's cringy, but that's what bumped into my head. Zud's a Judd. Zud's a Judd. Blah. Zud is a dud. Judd is a dud, baby. Not dead. We didn't kill him. But he's a dud. Oof. Walking right now is interesting. I'll tell you that much. Just walking from here to the fridge is interesting. I can feel myself like a little bit of wobbly. A little bit of wobbles going on. So excuse me for pouring here. Well, no, hang on. Mute for 1 second. garbage morning tomorrow, and my trash can next to my desk is overflowing with water bottles. So probably have to deal with that tonight too. Is there anything on TV, by the way? Anything at all? No hockey games, no Mariners games on. All right. Zed's dead.
What is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed? What is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
I should take that and I should modify it.
Garbage.
I should modify it into Judd's a dud. That would be awesome. And kind of a Bruce Willis voice. Maybe do an AI Bruce Willis voice. And have him say, Judd's a dud, baby. Judd's a dud. And then have him write off. I think that would be awesome. The way to go is those multifamily. Those multifamily yard sales are the way to kick it. Because, you know, everybody's got their own different little things. You got a lot more merchandise. You attract more people. It's cool. Yeah, and if you got a lot of extra stuff that we're not using, then as I stare back at my wife here.
You are all over the place, honey.
What, tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. My shit's not functioning normally.
Faculties are slightly.
Oh yeah, no, this is just like random thoughts with Rob tonight. This is no.
Yeah. You said
And I'm not sharing. God bless it. Ooh. No, I wasn't going to sleep. I was listening to what I was not sharing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I totally didn't share.
He keeps saying that I'm doing something.
Mr. Leslie, please. Go ahead, finish the answer, Dr.
He was talking about
I showed the video. I showed how we overlaid the point cloud on top of the video. That proves that the way we solved it, correct camera characteristics matches. Otherwise, that would be distorted. We overlaid the scans of the Lexus into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid the scans of the.
Man, I can't wait to see who they call first. I hope some people I've heard say call ARCA first or call at least one of the ARCA folks first. I think you should sandwich ARCA. You could call ARCA first and then call somebody else from ARCA later. But oh my gosh.
The scene into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid all that stuff into the analysis. We did exactly what you're suggesting.
You could have
I don't
addressed
either.
this issue by the following. If you really believe there
Not
was
a
no
big,
contact or
not a
not
big
sufficient
yard
contact,
sale fan
you
myself.
could have produced a graphic that shows a gap between the two vehicles. A graphic, couldn't you? That's not a graphic.
What is that?
I get to ask the questions and then you are to answer them subject to the judge's ruling. So my question is, couldn't you have created a graphic that would have better shown the issue that you are creating or talking about today? That's my question. Couldn't you have created a graphic?
We did. We created a whole bunch of graphics.
You called what we just saw a graphic?
Yes.
Well, if there's a gap, why isn't there then something that shows a clear gap?
because when you have the angulation of the vehicles, you have perspective. When you're looking at it, even if you do it top down, you see everything projected onto a single flat plane. So you can't tell the height of things. So when you see things in this dimension, you can't necessarily see depth of things. So you lose in two-dimensional images, you lose one dimension depending on which way you're looking. That's why I showed it from all these different angles to try and show exactly what you're saying. We had graphics to do that.
3D graphic?
3D images allow you to show perspectives for 360 degrees, correct? Is that correct?
That is correct.
So none of what you presented in your slideshow shows the contact points from 360 degrees, does it?
I don't understand your question. Are you asking if I showed it at every single, I went through 360 slides?
You could do a little
showed it at
video
every single
graphic.
degree?
Rotate
So
them.
let's move on. I think I've made the point.
So I'm going to strike the card,
Okay.
Mr. Leslie.
Dr. Welcher, let's go to the next topic.
I think
And keep
he
with
just,
two
he acted like he was confused. I mean, what a. All right, next point.
Is there, let's, Mr. Woke, zero in on the content. Yeah. There's green on that taillight, in the taillight. That's a 3D image of the taillight, isn't it, sir?
They're both 3D images.
Well, I just want to stay with one. That taillight is a 3D image, and one of the ways you can tell is it's got all that grainy material on it, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back, Mr. Woke, to the Lexus. Let's now go to the bumper.
But you want me to explain the difference?
No, thank you. I would like to go to the bumper.
You're welcome.
Do you see any grainy, the predominance of any grainy image on the bumper?
There's a little bit. So, for example, when you get near edges, it has a hard time with edges.
I'm sorry, the bumper cover.
Right.
The bumper cover up above?
This whole thing is the bumper cover. That's the step pad. That's the rear body panel or the rear deck lid.
I'm talking about the step pad, sir. Just the step pad of the bumper.
Are you asking about just from here to here?
Correct.
What you just said.
The bumper.
You
Can
just
we
called
zoom
it
in on it?
step pad.
I mean,
Can we zoom in on it?
sure. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see graininess.
Let's go over to
Right in here. You can see it all through here. You see it through here.
Well, I'm talking about the step pad, not the entire bumper. I'm just talking about the step pad.
Right. So you're zooming in on the bumper.
Right.
Step pad is this structure up here.
We're going to move up. It just takes a while. So your testimony is that is a.
Can you zoom in more?
That's you would like it zoomed in?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Your testimony is that is a 3D image, not a Photoshopped step bumper cover. Is that correct?
So we have mapped the color over the 3D scans. We used two separate scanners. If you recall, when I got out to Miss Reed's vehicle, that taillight was gone. So we had to replace the taillight.
Talking about the bumper cover, not the taillight.
Okay, I'm explaining the process.
I just asked you
I
about
didn't ask you about the process.
So focus your answer on the bumper.
That is a laser scan.
Okay, so your
That's a 3D
testimony is the step part of the bumper cover is a 3D image from a laser scan, and it's not a Photoshop. That's
Absolutely.
And you didn't
Everything has to be explained.
perform the work for the 3D that you claim the bumper step up is. You didn't do that work to produce that depiction, did you, sir? Somebody else in your firm did.
So this is all done at my direction. The engineers that work for me, so I'm telling them what to do. I'm not the one punching the keys.
That's my
I'm saying,
question.
I need you to do this, and this. Use the hand scanner, go scan the light. I need to put this back in.
How does it
I'm the boss. I tell them what to do, and then they do it for me.
No, this is Photoshop.
So no, I'm not punching the keys.
Okay, so
Okay. Point over, please.
So, Mr. Alessi has just moved on to handle. Already kind of heard about that. You know, we already knew that was an issue. So all we're getting into.
God, this is so stupid.
let's talk about hydraulics on the Lexus SUV.
Hydraulics. We heard about this. It's got like a built-in air ride.
What type of hydraulic system does the Lexus SUV have?
So it has a mechanism, I believe it's actually pneumatic. It's air-based system that raises it up and down.
Do you know what the name of that system is, sir?
No, not off the top of my head.
Do you know how it works specifically?
Well, I mean, I know generally that there's a button on the interior where you can raise and lower the ride height.
And is that the extent of your knowledge of that system on the Lexus?
No, again, I know when you park it, it'll drop down the ride height. When you adjust it for different roadway conditions, it'll change the ride height.
Do you know what the height tolerances are? In other words, the lowest to the highest?
I believe it's around 1.25 inches. At one point in time I measured it. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So you believe it's
What
an
is
inch and a quarter up and an inch and a quarter down? How do you apply the inch and a quarter?
I recall the total being like 1.25 inches, but I measured it at one point in time. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Would you be surprised to hear that the tolerance is 5 inches on that vehicle?
I would be surprised. I don't recall it being that much, but I would need to double check.
Assume that the manual, as well as other informations, support that the tolerance is 5 inches and that specifically the vehicle can be raised 3 inches high and it can be lowered 2 inches. That's the basis for the 5. What was the suspension height of Miss Reed's Lexus that you used for your accident reconstruction analysis out front at 34 Fairview between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. on January 29, 2022 to determine whether it was possible for the spoiler on the back of the Lexus to make contact with the eye of Mr. O'Keefe? If it was even possible, what did you use for a measurement of the suspension?
Matched the measurements from when the vehicle was tested, I believe on February 1st at the Canton Police Department.
What match did you make?
So we aligned the bottom of the taillight, actually the sheet metal right below the taillight. So we adjusted the height of the Lexus to match that.
Did you in any place document what level the Lexus was at the time of any testing, meaning the suspension? Did you document it all?
Yes.
Where?
Slide 107.
Can we have slide 107, Wolf?
Good observation, Eric.
And then if you could zoom in on the lower photograph, the gentleman with the blue shirt. Zoom in a little more, please.
Is this a Trooper Paul photo?
So
Oh, look
if
at
I
that.
may, we matched the bottom of the sheet metal here to photographs when it was at the Canton Police Department.
Sir, my question is, where did you document whether the suspension was at 0, whether it was +3 or -2? Where did you document that?
Right here.
And what are the numbers of the documentation of that?
I don't know. We were matching the photos, so I don't care what the numbers are. I care that the height is the same.
Okay, so I just heard you say, if I heard correctly, you don't care what the suspension is at. Is that your testimony?
No, I don't care what the suspension number is as long as the heights match.
I understand. So what was the suspension height of Miss Reed's Lexus at 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022, while at One Meadows and colliding with the Chevy Traverse? What was the suspension height then?
We assumed it was the same as when it was at the Canton Police Department.
Exactly. You assumed, but there's no measurement like was just on that depiction. There was no note that said, okay, we're doing this very important and inches sensitive measurements to see whether the taillight on the Lexus makes contact with the Traverse, but there's no measurement and no documentation of what the suspension height was at One Meadows, correct?
So we took the closest measurement in time to the One Meadows event, which is when it was at the Canton Police Department. That was the best information we had.
Well, that information isn't very good because the vehicle had to go from Canton to One Meadows, and when the vehicle drives, the way the suspension system works, it's automatic. When you go above 20 miles an hour, the suspension comes
Wow.
on, and when you turn off the
Okay, that was me passing out. I promise you it was a dental. It was a dental thing. But yeah, man, I got lost there. Holy moly. So, all right. Sorga, we get immediately kicked into Sorga taking apart Man Shannon's.
understand what I mean by
So yeah, Man Shannon is going to get slayed tomorrow. No two words about it. All right, so I don't think there was much that really came out in this cross. I think he laid foundation because I'm gonna get going here because it's already been an hour and 22 minutes. I don't remember much of it. Oh, happy dentist pills, man. Happy dentist pill day. Ooh, look at that. So
that's not important for me to keep going and get through it, so let's just stay on the events, okay? Only one of all of those events, those 18, are you concluding that there was a...
If I don't know that Proctor needs called. If they can get his text messages into reading through his friends, if they can get those texts in, I think he'll be fine. I think they'll be fine to keep him off the stand and keep him as the scapegoat. I think scapegoat guy, because the problem is Bev is not going to call him a hostile witness. They have to ask him open-ended questions. Unless he takes the fifth, then he looks like a real jackass. So I don't know. I seriously don't know. If you can get the stuff in with his, if you can get those text messages in, which were the biggest part of Proctor, that's what you got to go to. The CW did not call enough witnesses that were paramount to the investigation to decide whether they had a proper investigation. They need their FBI expert. They need their expert witness. She was stupid to not allow the expert witness. It's just dumb, but she's dumb. So anyway.
Collision associated with them, correct? Just one.
No, all those 18 are before. The collision's number 19.
No, I'm saying, I understand what you're saying, but for all the other events that are recorded, you're not, other than the January 29, 11/62/2, you're not concluding that any of those were collisions, correct?
I didn't look at them. They were so far mileage away from everything.
but you're not concluding, even though they're so far away and you didn't look at them, you don't conclude from the information you have that any of them were a collision, correct? Okay. Let's go to 5:07 a.m. on January 29th, 2022 at One Meadows, the home of Mr. O'Keefe. Okay. There was a collision between Ms. Reed's 6,000-pound Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe's approximately 4,500 Chevy Traverse. That's undisputed, correct? They collided, they made contact.
They touched.
Right. But the actual collision at One Meadows did not register the recording of an event on the Lexus VCH system, did it?
Correct, 2 minor.
So, however, you want this jury, sir, to conclude that the glancing blow that you contend occurred at 34 Fairview Road by the same 6,000-pound Lexus in contact with a mere 216-pound man did register an event on the Lexus, correct?
No, the impact didn't register the event. As I pointed out, the trigger was from when the accelerator pedal went to 30%. The tech stream does not register crashes at all. It registers excessive acceleration, excessive steering, excessive braking, things like that, things that would be part of the maintenance system. So the tech stream will never register an event, even if you hit a wall at 100 miles an hour necessarily. They don't call stop codes and things like that. But that's not what it does. The trigger here was transitioning into reverse and then gunning the accelerator pedal in reverse. And so when it went from 30 up to 74% throttle, once it went over 30 in that transition, that's what triggered the tech stream. It had nothing to do with, and that's why I'm telling you I don't know when in that event the impact occurred, because the tech stream doesn't tell you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Exactly my point. The tech stream information doesn't tell you when a collision occurs, does it?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have at this time, Your Honor.
All right, why don't we take on one?
That's it. That is it.
Well, that was quick. Because you're never going to get it from this guy.
Then we get, yeah.
It's just,
dude, Welcher, Judhead, he is never going to admit that he might have gotten something wrong, that something is ambiguous. He is going to say, this is the only way that you can read this data. Now, if other people come in and say, hey, why don't you take a look at 1161? 1161 has this amount of time between when the car was started and when the car was shut off. It also matches up from going from one place to another to another. It also shows that there was possibility of a 3-point turn. Now, I'm totally speculating here. I don't know what key cycle 1161 shows. 1161, if 1162 is not it, it's got to be 1160 or 1161. That is the magic key cycle. Could be even 1159. I don't know. So DeSorga, I think, is going to be a key witness. I hope he's likable. And we get to see lots of new stuff. We're moving into a new section of this trial. We have seen Brennan. We know Brennan is by heart and by trade a defense attorney. He knows how to cross-examine. He knows how to ask leading questions. And he's a jerk. So we'll see how all of that plays. We'll see how his attitude plays. We'll see how him being a jerk to witnesses play. We'll see how him saying, basically just being a jerk. I mean, that's what he's going to be. He's going to be an ass. Guy is going to be an ass. I don't think there's any two ways about it. The guy is going to be a jerk. There's no getting over it. Witnesses are hopefully prepped. Now, I know Arca is prepped. I know Wolf and Rentschler are prepped for his outbursts, because Welcher is just, or Fox, or Wolf with the E, is just going to sit there and smile, because that's what he does. He sits there and smiles. He's like, yes, yeah. He laughs, tells the guy he's confused. I think it's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, and I think DeSoga is probably even keel, probably going to be able to break down his findings vary. Well, she's probably going to be able to tear Man Shannon apart. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, we'll probably have a, usually Friday nights are kind of our not, not just case nights. We got to cover all kinds of topics. But I think with the start of the defense tomorrow night, we're going to have to make an exception. I'll ask those guys, do you want to hang out or not? Because we're doing the case tonight. That's all there is to it. So you can hang out for the first hour and then skedaddle, and I'll finish it up because I have a feeling we're going to go late tomorrow night too. We'll go as late as we need to cover everything that happens tomorrow. I can't wait. This is what I have been waiting for, is the final boss for the prosecution. Finally get to see them get whack-a-mole. I gotta figure out, that's a little dark over there. So see all the little crummies there. Wonder if I can. Yeah, see, that clears it up. You get a little bit of light, and you get a little bit of light down here. I think with the doggo cam, I can, since we got a moment, and we're almost done here. Bring up maybe I can bring up the doggo cam a little bit. Maybe, if it lets me. So much technology. All right, exposure. Let's try some stuff. Let's go ahead and drop the ISO. Open up our shutter speed. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. That looks good. There we go. There, that looks all right. Finny, go lay down. Lay down. Lay down. No, on your bed. Oh, Finny, back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. There you go. Stay. Gotta have a model. Gotta have a model, right? Look here. No. Back up. Back up and lay down. Go. Back up. Back up. Back off. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. That looks all right. I think that's maybe. Hey, looky there. All right. I think we got a good start right there for the moment. Fixing the dog cam. Fixing me. I'm moving the light around. Completely backwards. Well, there we go. Now there's no real. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I survived an hour and 35 minutes. I don't remember much of the show. I'm going to go back to the couch, I think. Probably eat something and then go back to the couch. So, all right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me on my dentist day. Wackadoodle day. That's what I like to call it. And tomorrow we'll be at the shop, be 7:00 start. We'll go over day one of the defense and whatever else tickles our fancy, because it's a free-for-all Friday. So, all right. Make sure you tune in July 4th, release of our actual show, our comedy show making fun of the government. You will love it. And so enjoy this little short introducing one of the characters from that show. And good night.
Introducing Agent Anthony Tony Miller from the Bureau, undermining misinformation.
Welcome to the office, huh?
Agent Miller takes the mission seriously with an eye toward the future.
Retirement, man. One word only.
You don't look that old. How long you got?
14 years, 5 months, 7 days, give or take. Who's counting?
When it comes to finding misinformation, Agent Miller brings his A game.
It's obvious. Dude's not right. Nolan Ryan, way tougher than Roger Clemens, period.
Agent Miller is also a master of the interrogation.
I say we just let him stew for a little bit. We'll go catch some coffee, eat some food, maybe check the scores. Then we finally go in. I'll take some notes, but really they're just doodles. I'm getting really good actually at some sketches. I'll show you later.
Is there anything I can do for you guys?
Chicky nuggies.
Agent Anthony Miller, performing the mission of keeping us safe from dangerous misinformation.